Good afternoon, everyone. This is Professor Melanie Bryant from the Tasmanian School of Business and Economics. I'm the Head of School for Management and Marketing, and I'd just like to welcome you to our webinar today that's going to talk a little bit about our programs, as well as give you some information about graduate outcomes, the work integrated learning, as well as some of the examples of research that our staff do. So just as a start, I'd like to introduce our panel. So with us today, we have Dr. Rose Kling. Rose is our MBA Director. Rose is also our former Work Integrated Learning and Internship Coordinator. So she's going to talk to us about some of our programs around Work Integrated Learning, as well as the MBA. We also have with us one of our former MBA students, Aruna De Silva, and Aruna's going to give you a little bit of insight into his experience as an MBA student, and also talk about what it's like to be a student here at the University of Tasmania and what he's doing now since completing his MBA. We also have with us Julie Henderson from the College of Business and Economics, and Julie's our Postgraduate and Executive Education Manager. So Julie's the perfect person to ask any questions on. So just before we start, what I'd like to do is just remind everyone to use the chat box for your questions in the meantime. We will have plenty of opportunity at the end of this webinar to have a bit of a Q&A session. And so all of us here can help to answer your questions. We also have Laith Harris from the International Marketing team here at UTAS, and we have Mona and Ajaya from the recruitment team as well, who also be able to help you with any questions you have about recruitment. So just to start off, I'd like to give you a little bit of information about the Tasmanian School of Business and Economics. So first of all, our vision for the school is to advance the wellbeing, economic and social development of the people of Tasmania and our communities. Our mission in the school is to lead research and learning in business and economics to benefit our local, regional and global communities. So as you can see from the vision and mission, we're very integrated into the local state of Tasmania, but we also practice learning and research that is globally relevant. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that as we go through our courses and also our research. So in the school, we have 5 separate academic disciplines, and these are the areas that you can specialise in. So these are accounting, economics and finance, management. We also have an entrepreneurship discipline. We don't unfortunately have an entrepreneurship major at this stage, but that's something that we're looking at. We also have a marketing discipline, and we have attached to the school the Australian Institute of Health Services Management. So the Australian Institute of Health Services Management is a specialised institute that looks at health management in particular, and that's located in Sydney. So the University of Tasmania is one of Australia's oldest universities. It was established in 1890. We have one of the oldest programs in economics in Australia, and we're quite famous for some of our graduates in that area as well. So within Tasmania, we have a number of campuses. We have Hobart, located in the suburb of Sandy Bay, but also located in the city centre of Hobart. We have Launceston campus and also our Burnie campus located on the Cradle Coast. Both Launceston and Burnie are up in the north and the northwest of Tasmania. Outside of Tasmania, we have our Sydney campus, as I mentioned, which is based in the city, as well as a campus that's just outside in the inner suburbs. And we also teach our programs into Hong Kong and Shanghai. So in terms of rankings, we're pretty proud here at UTAS because our university does pretty well in Australia as well as globally. So we've been ranked in the 2019 rankings as top 2% of universities globally, and also in the top 350 universities in the world. So that's by all of the major ranking systems. So we do pretty well here. So just moving on to why we think you should come and study with us at the University of Tasmania. So firstly, we have very strong graduate employment outcomes. So what that means is that if you do a degree with us, whether it be an undergraduate or a postgraduate, the chances of being employed are very high. And at the moment in the undergraduate space, it's around about a 76% employment rate. The average starting salary of $55,000. So for a lot of students, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but if you do have an undergraduate degree, that starting salary usually climbs fairly quickly, and depending on the sort of employment that you go into. In the postgraduate space, we have a 90% employment rate, and the average starting salary for our postgraduates is around $100,000 a year, which is a good starting salary, and again, lot of capability to grow your salary quite quickly with one of our degrees. So we're the only business school in Tasmania. We're the only university in Tasmania, actually, but the only business school here. And one of the advantages of that is that we have a very strong network into our local communities, our local government and our local businesses. And that's not just in Hobart, that's all across the state. And so Rose, a little bit later on, will talk to you about some of the examples that we have of our work integrated learning and our corporate internship opportunities. And she'll also give some examples of some of the businesses that our students go into when they go into corporate internships. And we have some great stories about our students who pick up graduate employment, often through their work integrated learning partners, which is fantastic. We're also accredited in terms of our business school, so our accounting students can go for certified practicing accounting. All our courses are accredited. Our human resource management students are going through, we're going through what we call ARI accreditation, which is the Australian Human Resources Institute at the moment. So we're accredited by them and in the process of re-going for that accreditation. We're also going for AACSB accreditation, and we're in the final stages of that at the moment. So that's a fairly prestigious accreditation, and only a small percent of universities in Australia and the world have that accreditation at the moment. So we have alumni who are all over the world. So people who have come to study with us in Tasmania, lots of international students, lots of local students who have gone and started their careers around different parts of the world. And so if you're a graduate of the University of Tasmania, you have a really broad, globally connected network that you're part of. So on top of that, we have very high quality and accessible academics. I think one of the advantages of studying here with us at UTAS is that we're not a huge business school by some of the standards of other Australian universities. We're big enough that you get to meet a lot of people and have a diverse experience, but we're small enough in that you can actually access your academics quite readily, and sometimes that's quite difficult to do in some larger university settings. So our academics are also referred to globally in terms of their research, so they're research leaders in the field. They're also attached to a number of professional bodies around Australia and the world as well. So just as an example, Rose is part of the MBA Directors Network in Australia and New Zealand. I'm currently the president of the Australian New Zealand Academy of Management. We have people who are members of the American Academy of Management, the American Marketing Academy, etc. So we do have quite broad global networks amongst ourselves as academics as well. So we have a great study environment. I think one of the advantages of studying somewhere like Tasmania, if we think about the current situation with COVID-19 around the world, we have, as our government likes to tell us, a moat. We can shut ourselves off for the rest of the world if we need to. We are safe. We don't have a lot of people living together in small spaces. It's a very pleasant environment, it's a very clean environment, and there's few negative distractions, I think, for students. And one of the things that our students like to do, and I think Aruna will be able to give you some examples of this, is get out into the environment and experience what Tasmania is like as a place to live. So in saying that, we are very multicultural. We have a large multicultural group of students here at the university, and also our staff are very multicultural as well. So a very welcoming and culturally diverse place to come to as UTAS. So just to talk a little bit about our research strengths in management marketing before we start to talk a little bit about some of our programs. So one of the differences I think here at UTAS, I've worked at a number of universities in Australia, and one of the strengths that I like about UTAS is that we're very diverse and cross-disciplinary in the things that we do. So what I mean by that is that I work in the management discipline. I'm a professor of management, but my background's a combination of management, some economics. I've also studied sociology, and so what that does is give me a set of skills that I can then apply in different research settings. So my particular area of research interest is in agricultural adoption, and basically what this is doing is working with farmers, working with people in different aspects of the agricultural industry to assist them in implementing adoption or change. So that could be something such as a technology change. And what my job to do is work with the social side of that. So as a social scientist, to help them work with the people dynamics. And these are the kinds of things that you learn if you study a degree in business, particularly in management. So other staff that we have here, again, are very diverse in their background. We have a staff member, for example, in marketing who does a lot of work in value chain, but has a background in agriculture, so actually has an undergraduate degree in agriculture, has worked in agriculture, and then came and studied marketing, did a PhD in marketing as well. And so he's got a fairly unique set of skills that he can take into the agricultural context as well. A number of our entrepreneurship staff have backgrounds both in business as well as areas such as biotechnology. We've got 3 who have engineering backgrounds. We have others who have backgrounds in new product development. So again, they're very good at helping to assist with startups and how to start a new business, how to think like an entrepreneur, but also very good at the technical side as well, because they have had that technical background in scientific professions. We also have staff, for example, we have a clinical psychologist on our staff team, and she's got a background in both clinical psychology and management, and she does a lot of work around workplace wellbeing. On top of that, we also have staff that specialise in their particular areas, such as retail and consumer behaviour, who work specifically with businesses to help them build their capacity. But overall, I think that the key theme, despite our differences, is that we work around this whole notion of building better businesses and the future of work and employment, both in Tasmania and globally. So just to go to our courses to give you a little bit of background, I'm going to run you through the Bachelor of Business as well as the Bachelor of Business Accelerated, also our combined degrees and honours degrees, and also the Master of Marketing Management that we have. After that, I'm then going to pass to Rose, and Rose is going to talk about the Graduate Certificate in Business Studies as well as the MBA, and I'll also talk a little bit about PhDs before I do that as well. So just to give you a very brief rundown, so here's an example of the things that you can do if you come into the School of Management and Marketing. And I'd just like to talk a little bit, I will give some details about the Bachelor of Business and the other degrees, but I'd like to talk just briefly about the combined degrees that we offer here as well. So as a student, you can come in and choose to do the single Bachelor of Business as your one degree, but you also have opportunities to do what we call a combined degree, and that's where you can pick up a degree with us, but you're also picking up a degree with another college as well. So some examples of that we offer here at UTAS are a Bachelor of Arts combined with a Bachelor of Business. You can combine your Bachelor of Business with a Bachelor of Information Communication Technology. You could also combine with a science degree. You can combine with the economics degree, or you can combine with the Bachelor of Laws. So if you do have questions about that, please put that into the chat box, and we can certainly provide you with information about those degrees. Now, depending on the degree, it's usually an additional year. So rather than a 3-year full-time program, you're looking at a 4-year full-time program to do that combined degree, except for law. So the law degree is a little bit longer. But again, as I mentioned, if you have any questions about those degrees, we'd be very happy to answer those for you. The other degree that I'd like to talk about very briefly before we move on to the Bachelor of Business is the honours degree. So often we do get questions about honours degrees, and students are not sure what the difference between an honours degree and a master's degree is. An honours degree is a year that you can put on to the end of your Bachelor of Business, and what this allows you to do is a year that focuses on a research project. It teaches you skills in how to conduct research, and it teaches you the various aspects of the research process. So usually an honours degree is aimed at a student who's hoping to go from a bachelor's degree into a PhD, for example, or a research degree such as a Masters of Research. But at the same time, we do have a lot of students who do an honours degree just as something to kind of give them a little bit of a competitive edge on their degree. So it is quite attractive to employers. It does make you more competitive. So if you're coming out of the University of Tasmania with an honours year on top of your Bachelor of Business, and you're competing for the same jobs as other students with a 3-year Bachelor of Business, it does give you that little bit of a competitive edge. And it also gives students the opportunity to work in an area that they're particularly passionate about. So for example, if you do a management major and you're really interested in strategy, then you can focus specifically on an aspect of strategy in that particular project. So it gives you a little bit of extra expertise in a certain aspect of the major that you do. The last thing I just wanted to talk about briefly are the research degrees. So when we talk about research degrees, we refer to the Masters of Research or the Doctor of Philosophy. And so for a student who's starting out in a Bachelor of Business, this can seem like a long way away, but it's not an unachievable goal. So as I mentioned, you can finish your Bachelor of Business, go into a 1-year honours degree, and then use that to then move into a PhD, because that gives you the skills to do so. And we have a lot of students that go through the PhD program. So traditionally a PhD tended to be for students who are looking to move into academia. These days we do have people that come through the PhD program certainly into academia, but we also have a lot of our graduates moving into government positions. These days it's quite common to have people with PhDs in reasonably high up government positions. They also go into their own consultancies, multinationals, and even starting their own startups and small businesses as well. So they're quite diverse, and again, the benefit of doing a PhD down the track is it gets you to specialise, or gives you the opportunity to specialise in something you're particularly passionate about as a student. And that can be an area of something you've studied in business. It usually follows on from your major, but it can also combine slightly different areas. So as an example, my PhD is in really organisational sociology. I came from a business, economics and management background. So it's given me the opportunity to study something slightly different as well. Okay, so just moving into our bachelor's degree. So this is our key undergraduate course. If you have attended some of the other webinars that UTAS has had, you've probably been introduced to other courses such as diplomas, associate degrees. So you may be familiar with those. The Bachelor of Business is really our key academic course. And so if you do have questions about pathways from other degrees into this degree, again, certainly do ask those in the chat box and we'll get people to answer those or get back to you about the information that you might need. So the Bachelor of Business, we have two different versions of the Bachelor of Business, and I'll talk about our second one in a moment. So the Bachelor of Business, it's what we call an all-round business degree. So the good thing about this degree is that you get the opportunity to do 8 core units that are common, regardless of what you choose to major in. And the idea behind this is it gives you a really solid education in business. So, for example, you might end up going into marketing, but as a marketer, you need to understand economics at a basic level. You need to understand how markets work, which is linked to economics. You need to have an understanding of the finances, especially if you're running your own business. Also, as a marketer, or if you're running your own business as a marketer, you need to know a little bit about management and how to manage resources, how to manage people. Likewise, if you're an accountant. So if you go into an accounting major, again, you're working with people, you need to understand that. You need to understand how markets work. So again, that's where your marketing and your economics comes in as well. So it gives you a really nice broad base of education before you specialise into your chosen major. So with our majors, we have a number here that you can choose. We have a major in management, a major in marketing, and a major in human resource management. So those 3 sit in my school that I look after. The School of Accounting, Economics and Finance also have the accounting major, the business economics major, and the finance major. Now, you can choose a number of combinations. So our degree, as we have it, if you come into the Bachelor of Business this year or next year, for example, you can choose to do a management major and you can also choose to do a marketing major. So accounting is a little bit more difficult because they have accreditation requirements. So there's a little bit more of a structure around accounting, but I think the benefit if you're coming in as a management or marketing or HR student is that you get the opportunity to mix and match some of your subjects. Likewise, if you chose to do a major in another college, so for example, if you wanted to do your core business units, your management major, and then say psychology or psychological studies that can complement that, you have the opportunity to do that as well. And you also have the opportunity just to choose different electives outside of your major across the university. So there's a whole lot of options there that you can do as well. So international students can study the Bachelor of Business either here in the Hobart campus where I'm located or also at Launceston. So I'll just, before I talk to you about the Launceston program, it's slightly different, it's something that we're really proud of. I just wanted to take a moment just to give you a little bit of an understanding as to what the majors are about. So management, for example, it's really based on 4 principles of management, which is around planning, organising, leading and controlling. So everything you do in the 8 subjects or 8 units that you study link back to things such as planning, organising, leading and controlling. Human resource management is slightly different. This is really about how to manage your people as resources. So how to get the best out of your people, how to attract and retain talent, how to engage in performance management systems, for example, that will help to encourage your staff to do the best. It also has what we call the not so nice side sometimes of working in organisations in terms of helping you to come up with strategies if you need to move people on out of organisations, which is not a particularly good part of a job, but is a really important part of working in organisations as well. So they're the two that sit in the management discipline. In marketing, marketing can be a whole range of different activities. So it can be everything from advertising and promotion. It can be about promoting your business. It can be about promoting a product. It can be about how to develop communication strategies. So marketers used to be associated with selling products. These days they're far more broad, and they've always been more broad than that, but they're far more broad. And just as an example, I'm aware of some marketers who are working around consumer behaviour to stop people throwing pollution into the ocean, for example. So the project's all about saving the oceans, but the marketers play a really key role in changing consumer behaviour around that. So they play a very different role these days compared to what they may have, say, 20 or 30 years ago. So in terms of our Bachelor of Business Accelerated, so this is our fairly recent or fairly new program that we've brought in. It's in our second year, or in its second year rather, here at the University of Tasmania. This is basically the same as the Bachelor of Business, but the good thing about this program is you can complete it in 2 years full time. So the way that that works is, compared with our 3-year Bachelor of Business, which is located at Hobart, students start at the start of February and they end their academic year in December. Whereas here in Hobart, they'll start sort of end of February, start of March, and they end their academic year at the end of October. So with that extra time, we've got the ability to have a new semester, and students get the opportunity to have a break. They've got plenty of time for their exams, but we condense that program across that period of time. So this has been a really popular degree with new students coming in, because they have the opportunity to finish their studies within the 2 years, excuse me, and then they have the opportunity to move into the workforce much more quickly, which has been quite attractive. So this program is only offered at Launceston, as I mentioned. One of the things that we really like about this project is this particular program is it's very much integrated with business. So it's delivered in a building called Henty House, which is located in the central business district of Launceston. And up until now, we've actually been running classes alongside people who work in the startup and small business space. So they're moving in and out of that space with students. And so again, with the accelerator program, we have a lot of business connections coming in. We have the Launceston Chamber of Commerce and Industry who have been involved in the development of the program. And it's really giving students an opportunity to integrate quite, I guess, connect really strongly with local businesses as part of being in the CBD. So we do have 3 intakes into that program a year. So unlike the 3-year degree where we have the 2 intakes, one at start of semester 1, one at start of semester 2, in the accelerated program, we have intakes in May, late May, so one coming up shortly. We have another intake of students into the September, which is our study period 3, and then we have another intake into our study period 1, which is in February. So anyone who's interested in starting, plenty of opportunity for you to join our program, especially in the Bachelor of Business Accelerated. So this is also a really good, as I mentioned before, if you've come in from a diploma or an advanced diploma and you're wanting to gain that extra knowledge in business, so wanting to top up your education, this is a really good program for you to consider as a student, because it doesn't take you a lot of extra time to do and you end up with the full undergraduate degree. So lovely photo of our Vice Chancellor there, Professor Rufus Black, and that's taken from our Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies, which is right in the middle of Hobart. It's a beautiful building. So if you come and visit us in Hobart, you'll get to see that, and it's a really nice space. So I just want to talk a little bit about moving into the postgraduate programs now, and I'm going to talk about the Master of Marketing Management, and then I'll pass over to Rose, who will talk about some of our other programs. So we have a Master of Marketing Management and also a Master of Marketing Management Advanced. And so what this program basically does is stream our students off into 2 different streams. The Master of Marketing Management is really designed, I guess, for students who have never studied marketing before, whereas the Master of Marketing Management Advanced is designed for students who have a marketing background, so whether it be that they've studied marketing before as an undergraduate or whether they're coming in from an industry background. So it gives them a little bit more, I guess, and it moves away from that introductory level of marketing. So we have 3 particular streams that we run as part of that. So what we mean by streams is it's almost like a little minor in a postgraduate degree. So it's a cluster of 4 subjects that students choose, and that's meant to complement the subjects that you do as part of the Master of Marketing. or Master of Marketing Management rather. So the three streams that we have at the moment are the strategic marketing. So again, that focuses on a particular area of marketing, which is around strategy and strategy development. We also have international business, which is a combination of international business skills, international marketing, so marketing into the global environment, and we also have other subjects such as international HRM and other subjects that students can do to complement that. We also have the entrepreneurship stream. So entrepreneurship is not necessarily just for people wanting to go into the startup space. It's also designed for students who are interested in learning how to think like an entrepreneur, so learning how to engage in creative thinking and problem solving and design thinking and those kinds of areas. We also have a stream for newcomers to industry, so marketing fundamentals, and this is where you get to learn the basics of marketing, the basic theories, the basic principles, and that's a really nice foundation if you've never studied marketing before. So the Master of Marketing Advanced, one of the key differences here is that it also has a business research stream. So similar to the honours degree that I described before, the business research stream is a stream that's designed for high achieving students. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's either a 65 or a 70 average that students have to achieve to move into this stream. And the idea is that it equips students with a set of research skills that can then be used as a pathway into a PhD. So if a student's wanting to move into a PhD from a coursework master's, they still have that opportunity through this particular program. The other thing I should mention too, and Rose will be able to give some examples of this, is that you do have the opportunity in this program to look at workplace projects or corporate internships as well. So that gives the opportunity for students to go and work with businesses. So we have some examples today, as I mentioned, of students who have done that through other programs. And they can give you, or Runa can give you some examples of the sorts of things that he's done. So one of our other students that we'll talk about has worked in the marketing space and has had the opportunity to put her skills into practice developing marketing plans. So again, students can come out of that course not only with the theory and the knowledge of marketing, but also very strong skills in how to work with industry, which makes them very employable. So I'm going to stop at this point, and Rose, I might pass over to you to talk about the grad cert of business and the MBA and the corporate internships.
Rose, you need to take yourself off mute, please.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, everyone. Hi. So the Graduate Certificate of Business Studies is a 4-unit degree, which is designed to allow students with some professional experience and perhaps don't have an undergraduate degree, but have got that background in business that they can then apply to the Graduate Certificate in Business Studies. It provides a pathway for them to utilise their skills and apply those within the learning environments of an academic outcome, but it's very practical, and it also allows for those students to incorporate their own expertise and or follow their own expert and particular fields.
Could you try again?
Excuse me, my phone just thinks it's talking to me. So the Graduate Certificate in Business is actually a qualifying pathway into the postgraduate study as well. So for people who have got business experience,
I didn't get that.
Excuse me.
Could you try again?
For people who have got business experience but have not actually studied before, they have got the opportunity to then take that Graduate Certificate in Business Studies and progress to the postgraduate study of their idea. And often that means that they will go to an MBA program. Now this means that what they're bringing to their own learning is their background. They've got that opportunity to integrate into a learning environment with others with the same similar and or varied backgrounds. So they're actually taking back to their organisations the cumulative processes that they've learned on the degree and also taking with them that sort of expertise. So it's ideal, as I say, for people who've got information in management or marketing or accounting and or corporate sustainability. These areas are definitely based in the true processes of business. It can also be packaged within our 18-month master's program, and then the Masters of Marketing Management as well. So it's an excellent pathway for people into that postgraduate study. Now, if you take on the MBA program as a pathway, this is the current MBA, which is the MBA International. And it's designed for people to have a course where they, if they've just finished their undergrad degree or they've come through the pathway from the graduate certificate, then they're going to have the advantage of adding to their skills with the core skills that the MBA offers. But these core skills are in management, they're into international trade relations, an extremely important area in today's market and of course in any market. The organisational behaviour background as well for people to interact in their own businesses, to understand the diversity, the culture, the management of staff, maybe across a multi-domestic or international business. So this gives them that collaborative sort of approach to business and understanding how to look after human resources. It is also an opportunity for people to go through to an accounting or entrepreneurship specialisation. They can specialise in marketing, in finance and business research, which is the opportunity for people with a distinction average to take. Now that gives them, if they take a research opportunity, then that gives them the opportunity to also research their own area of particular interest and take that research back to their business and therefore in enhancing the economic situation in their own business. The entrepreneurship specialisation is also available, and that allows people who were probably intrapreneurs, so that means they're actually quite creative and innovative in their own business, and they want to lead their business to a different, maybe a diversification strategy. That gives them the opportunity to understand how to do that. And lastly, they can also go to the strategic processes. So the capstone of the MBA is strategic management. In that process, students will take with them not only the cumulative processes that they've learned through their study, but it asks them to take that to the full degree of strategy, how to manage their business, how to make sure that their business is growing, what to do in a situation where there is a market change or a complete global disruption, as we've seen. They will learn the skills that they already have in some cases, but they can then apply those skills with the knowledge they've gained from this full program. And lastly, the students can also undertake a study tour. This is part of the core unit for the MBA, and it means that students will then work with businesses throughout their study to apply their own skills within that business. They can actually understand the business from inside the tour. So they meet with business owners, they meet with entrepreneurs, they meet with managers, CEOs, board members, and a range of other businesses, small to large, across Tasmania, interstate and further afield. This interaction allows them to understand their own thinking of business in terms of what is already a practical business outcome. It also provides them with the opportunity to network with many business owners, and these networks will take them into their business degrees, into their business lives and further. So the current situation with the business tour is that we've been looking at a virtual environment, and this is working extremely well, with many businesses immediately available for our students to converse with. The opportunities for them to go further from the MBA, of course, are through the research process. So I think that wraps up the bulk of the MBA program and those other master's programs. Now, within the work integrated learning space, we've got quite a few opportunities for students to utilise what they've learned in a practical outcome. One of those is the corporate internship program. So this is a work integrated learning program which allows the students to be placed within an organisation, and they can therefore directly apply their theoretical learnings into a real world practical environment. It means the student doesn't just learn from the academia and the textbook and those examples that we provide for them, but they can actually learn on the job. And they will have to take on a project that's been devised for them in a particular area. So all of our internship mentors put together an actual project that is designed around a particular field. This project is then undertaken by the students for the full course of the semester. They must complete the project and they provide for a complete business report. So this program is currently, we have more projects coming in than we have students to undertake those projects. Our business partners have recognised the skills of our students and how they can use those skills to enhance their own businesses. But not only that, it's a very good networking opportunity and a pathway for students for future employment. We've got a very good uptake of opportunities for students, not just in Tasmania, but also further afield. So this corporate internship program is growing every day, and it is one of the most important work integrated learning outcomes for our courses. Currently, we had over 200 internship partners within Tasmania, and to date, about 362 active businesses looking for students to assist with their projects. The students learn also through our projects that we've been developing through the MBA. And across the MBA, we've been integrating a lot of work integrated learning projects so that they are, again, interacting with our businesses. They do put together quite a lot of strategic projects for businesses, and currently within the strategic management unit, for example, we have interaction with a lot of the not-for-profit organisations in Tasmania. So again, charities and not-for-profit organisations provide their unique business requirements, and this is another area that students are able to interact with. Now we've got an example of a successful student from the MBA program who worked on her internship program, and she completed that through her last semester of study. And it was an environmental sort of plan, if you like, for marketing. And she looked at the 5 forces and SWOT and pestle analyses. Mishba was very successful in her project. And as a project officer, she demonstrated all of the skills we expected from our graduates, and her internship provider was extremely pleased with her outcome. So moving forward, I think we've got now, just waiting for the next slide to come up. We've got now to throw to Aruna, who can give us a lot more information about his project. Thank you, Aruna.
Hi, Ross. Thank you so much for a good introduction about the MBA program that I'm currently doing. Can you hear me? Yeah, cool. So I started back in 2018. I chose MBA because I want to get a broad understanding about the business and how the business work in the day-to-day environment. But then the MBA program has different core areas which covers business, economics, marketing, HR, and finance as well. So which give you a broad understanding about the business models and how the business are operating. And then you have the chance of selecting your specialization at the end of your final semester, which give you more details about or more understanding about the specialized area that you want to do. The flexibility of this program is that you can change 1 or 2 units based on your preference, and I changed my couple of my units to different units because that gives me more advantage. For example, I changed a couple of units to more into finance area because that's my core area of expertise, and I'm glad that I was able to manage that with the management from the TSB. And also I had the internship at the City Council as well as Department of State Growth. So as an MBA student, I always want to apply the theoretical knowledge into the practical environment, and these internship experience gave me that knowledge how to apply the theoretical knowledge that you learn in your day-to-day class to a practical real business case study. Then also, business society is one of the core areas or core advantages a lot of business students have when they enroll with UTAS. Business society basically gives you different aspects of an experience. I was part of that organization as well, and that gives me a lot of network outside the classroom and outside the university, which gave me a better insights of the industry and what sort of expectation employers have from a recent graduate. And additionally, I also had the chance to experience the wilderness of the Tasmanian nature, which gave me an opportunity to interact with the local community, because as an international student, I had a different experience and different background in my home country. And when I moved back to Australia, I had to learn about the local culture, local environment, and getting involved with different societies, student societies, as well as others, local societies within Tasmania, helped me to gain that experience of local culture, local environment, and fit myself into that particular community cohort.
Excellent, thank you, Aruna. And can also just thank Rose for taking us through the MBA and the grad cert in business, and also the work integrated learning and internship opportunities. So that brings us to the end of our formal part of the presentation. So we'd just like to use the next 15 minutes or so to address any questions that you might have. So as I mentioned before, we have Julie Henderson here from the College of Business and Economics. We also have Laith from the International Marketing team. We have our very savvy recruitment team here as well. So we might just start going through some of the questions that we have.
Hi all, thanks so much for the presentation. It was very informational, I must say, sorry. And I'm sure our audience loved hearing all of that information. At the moment, there's no specific questions coming through, but I do have some from my end, which may be of interest for the audience as well. And some of you were answering my questions throughout the way, so it shows that it was a really comprehensive webinar, so that's fantastic. Rose, this might be good for you to answer. I get this question a lot during fairs. A lot of students tend to be interested in project management and as a course, but of course we don't have that as a particular course. If students are interested in that area, does project management form a part of the MBA course to a certain degree at all?
Thank you, Mona. That's a very good question. And in fact, as a result of the students undertaking the MBA and or any of the WIL programs that we have, and particularly the corporate internship program, they are actually running a project. So they will inherently learn the project management skills as a result of that. But we do have it embedded in a lot of the units across the MBA. So for instance, if you're managing any part of an organization, that is in its own right some sort of a project. If you're recruiting and making sure your human resources and or other resources are aligning to your business mission and vision, and you want to make sure that you can achieve your outcomes, then that again is another project. So by design, they do learn how to run a project, and a lot of our work integrated learning programs are project-based. So they must start the project, research it, do all of the data analyses, and report against that project. So they do complete a full project. And that I think is actually probably very valuable, and being interactive in a project is the best way to learn.
Thank you so much, Rose. That was really helpful. I do have some questions coming through. Julie, maybe you could answer this one. Can you just give some sort of information about the scholarships that TISB currently has on hand for students?
Sure, thank you, Mona. Our scholarships will be finalised in the next couple of weeks for next year, and we will publish those on both our college website as well as the university scholarship website. We have more general scholarships, the Tasmanian International Scholarship, which offers a 25%, it offers a 25% reduction in tuition for achieving students. We are expecting to continue our Dean of Tisby Merit Scholarship in 2021. This is for extremely high achieving students. There is no cap, so we would absolutely encourage everyone to apply. More information on that will be available by the end of this month. Please look out for more opportunities as well. Our college is also exploring additional employability programs, and we hope to be able to publish some more information about that, certainly before the start of the next semester.
Fantastic. Thank you, Julie. And I guess, Julie, you could also answer this one. The dying question, are the courses available for online study for semester 2 July intake?
That's a great question. And yes, absolutely they are. The quality of online delivery has been really impressive. The college has also put in a lot of support measures for students. So, for example, we have quite a number of Chinese students, and we now have study support groups, online study support groups for that cohort. We're also offering additional support via WhatsApp to Hong Kong students. I know that our Dean has been running special sessions for targeted groups of students. So, yes, we are adapting very well to the online environment. I was delighted today to see 2 new internship opportunities opening up in marketing for the tax clinic. So even our internships are available online. So yes, everything is available online for semester 2.
Fantastic. And I must say the Bachelor of Business Accelerated version is also available starting from the 25th of May. So that's a really good opportunity for students to start earlier, as Melanie mentioned before as well. Aruna, I might jump to you actually, and this is a question from myself. How are you finding your experience as an MBA student so far, and what are your plans upon completion?
Sorry, can you tell me can you ask me the question again? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sure, not a problem. So how are you currently finding your experience as an MBA student? You're in your final semester, so was just keen to see how is it all going for you and what are your plans upon completion?
Well, I have looked into different companies and have already contacted few people for the future employment. The experience of MBA is pretty great, to be honest. I was able to learn a lot of aspects of the business, as well as I was able to develop my knowledge in business, and also I was able to gain some practical experience, especially with the corporate internship as well as the business tour, which we study tour, which we usually do in MBA program. And the other good thing is about the experience that I gained from the business society. The network that I have developed over the past years through that society is amazing, and I still have a lot of people coming in and talking about that experience with my other colleagues with the business society, and the network that I've built on there is still help me to gain some insight about the industry, because some of the people that I've met, I still stay in contact with them, and that helped me to get more insight about the current situation in the business environment. Yeah. And also I also want to mention about the support that I've got through the business school as well as the UTAS, because there are so many opportunities for students to get their work experience, especially with the student jobs as well as other volunteer opportunities that also help you to understand and also get yourself ready with the required skills like soft skills, and make you more employable in the future.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Aruna. I'm also an UTAS alumni myself. And Dr. Rose is actually my previous lecturer, so it's great to see her here. I personally studied a Master's of Professional Accounting as well as a Bachelor of Business as well for 6 years at UTAS, and I can tell to the audience that you will not regret coming to UTAS or starting your studies online, I must say, for now. The experience you get is phenomenal, and you know, I still have contact with my lecturers as well, which is the great thing about University of Tasmania. And the experience you get overall is second to none. I do have one more question. I'll leave it up to the floor to answer. Maybe Melanie, you can jump on this one. This is a question for myself. I've just come up with it. So can you please explain what are some of the what are some of the most common job opportunities or careers students can end up upon graduation, whether it be from a postgraduate course or if they're graduating fresh from a bachelor course?
Oh, there's so many, we could spend an hour. But yeah, look, happy to talk through some. I think one of the things that we see here in Tasmania that is probably quite unique compared with other sort of city-based universities such as Melbourne and Sydney is we see a lot more students going into smaller and medium enterprises here. And I think one of the benefits of that, so regardless of how you've majored in your bachelor's degree, for example, whether you've ended up as an accountant or you've got a management background, is, as Rose said before, you get the opportunity to work across all aspects of the business. In saying that as well, though, I mean, we have students who come out with a management degree or come out with an MBA, for example, who might like to move into more multinational type organisations, and they have the skills to go into that space. We also have a lot of people moving into government, so there's a lot of opportunities in government. If you're an economist, for example, it's not uncommon for you to move into a government position. So look, I think the options are absolutely endless, and I think one of the real selling points of our courses here, and I think the size of the university and our connections with industry and government and business, and also the opportunities that Rose has told us about with the internships, is that we get exposure, or our students get exposure to those businesses very early in their degrees. Compared with other universities, for example, I've worked in 2 Melbourne-based universities, you've got thousands of students graduating out of the same degrees that are trying to compete for those jobs. And so I think some of the outcomes and opportunities we have here in Tasmania are possibly outcomes and opportunities that students don't necessarily think about, particularly in that small and medium enterprise space, but have fantastic career outcomes. So I hope that kind of answers your questions, but it's, I think the beauty of an MBA or a Bachelor of Business is that it does give you that broad business background, and so you are coming out with a whole lot of different areas that you can work in.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Melanie. Aruna, you've got a few questions here from people. First of all, it would be good if you could give us some sort of insight into your current employment in Hobart. And also, Bhavya was interested in, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out which question it was. Oh, what did you love most about the University of Tasmania? And that's from Trang.
Right. So I'll answer the first question first. I'm currently having 3 casual jobs with UTAS. 2 jobs are related to student jobs, and the other one is with the business school. Those are all casual based. And then moving on to the second question. So Tasmania, the university, the experience is basically amazing, especially your social life. And the good thing about UTAS is it is based close to the city. So, and I live in the student accommodation. So if you want to do something, or if you want to participate in a conference or event within the city, you don't have to think too much. You can just like drive within 5 minutes to the city and participate. The good thing about UTAS is everything is centered around the UTAS, and that gives you more time to participate in different events and different segments outside the classroom. That gives you more time and more experience.
That is great, Aruna, and I completely agree with you as well. When I was a student, everything was very central. I lived in accommodation for 2 years as well, and then moved into a shared house later on. So if anyone has any questions as well, please feel free to shoot them through, and we can answer after the webinar finishes as well. But I've got a question here. just trying to find out. From Anthony, do you have any units that teach about legal matters or business contracts, etc.? So I guess I'll leave that open to anyone to answer.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. I have to admit it's not in my school, so so the accounting school might get upset with me for answering this, but yes, we do. And if you are a student who's studying, for example, accounting, there are certain legal and law-based units that you have to do as part of the accounting degree, and certainly contracts, business law, those sorts of areas are certainly there for you to pick up. There's also, as I mentioned before, an opportunity for students coming into the undergraduate, so the Bachelor of Business, to also pick up the combined degree, which is the Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of Laws. So, Anthony, if you've got a particular interest in the legal side or interest in going into a legal profession with a business background, I'd encourage you to have a look at the double degree option as well. But if you do go into the Bachelor of Business, for example, or the MPA, then you will have the opportunity to pick up, because certainly especially our accounting students, they do need to understand, all of our students actually coming through business need to understand the basics of business law and contracts. So yes, you'll have the opportunity to study that.
Thank you so much, Melanie. There's actually a fair few questions coming through, but Aruna, I was going to ask you, you're interested into diving. You're interested in diving, aren't you?
Yes, I am. So it's I started diving because I like the ocean life, and I'm really interested in those aspects. But unfortunately, I'm not studying any marine biology or anything. And then I want to get into diving because I wanted to get a part of the culture in Australia, because I've realized when I moved down here, a lot of people do other extracurricular activities during their weekend. So I thought, like, diving, because I have the passionate about ocean and ocean life, I thought I might start diving. And then I got my certificate license from here itself. And then since then I start enjoying the marine life in Tasmania.
Yes, and what a place to experience that as well, Aruna. So I think you've done a fantastic job there. That's well done. I'm just looking through some of the questions. Some of the questions are questions the recruitment team can answer. So I'm happy to wrap it up here. And Julie, Aruna, Rose, and Melanie, if you wanted to say something to the audience, that would be great. Thank you.
I'd like to say just a quick word. First of all, I didn't get to speak very much today because Rose and Melanie did such a fabulous job of explaining the programs in great detail. I would say that most students have an amazing time because academics at UTAS in our business school are so accessible, and they take a genuine care in the wellbeing of students. So we see academics really mentor students, help guide them. I know that Rose is really passionate about the people who've come through internship opportunities. We really focus on employability. We really want our graduates to do well. And I'm not even from Tasmania. I moved here about 10 years ago. I can genuinely say it is such an amazing place to live. Small but not too small, stunningly beautiful, plenty of opportunities, socially, culturally and work-wise. And I really think it's worth considering. Thank you.
I'd like to follow that. Julie actually just stole what I was going to say. I'm actually not from Tasmania either. I've only lived in Tasmania for around not quite 3.5 years now, and I had an opportunity to join University of Tasmania, and I had an opportunity to join another university elsewhere in Australia. I was working in a different place at the time, and I chose to come to Tasmania. And likewise, I think, you know, it's easy for us to sell our universities, but in terms of a university, you know, compared with ones that I've worked in, I think it just has so many good things about it. And as Julie said, landscape and, you know, everything that you can do, whether if you don't really want to go diving, I'm not a diver, but you can go bushwalking or you can go trail running, and you can do that sort of within 10 minutes of the city. So it is a beautiful place, and it's a very clean environment. I grew up sort of just out of Melbourne, and I'm used to industry and not so clean air and things like that, and it's just such a clean, pristine environment. So I think Julie and I can sell it quite nicely as non-Tasmanians. So I also encourage you to come here.
I might say a couple of words as well, just to end off as well. I am from Tasmania originally, but I went to work on the Big Island for a little while, for about 20 years, and I worked with quite a number of universities on the mainland. But I came back to Tasmania with the offer to work with the University of Tasmania. But I had already quite a few business relationships here in Tasmania and had a couple of businesses myself here. And what Tasmania offers that we don't see perhaps quite as evident elsewhere is that networking and mentoring opportunity for students, because it is a closed environment. Everyone is extremely keen to help our students because ultimately they will then contribute to the state of Tasmania. So the networking, the associations we have here are also very amazing. They have all their members join with us to help with our students. So at any time I put out the call for some assistance with our work in graduate learning opportunities, we are inundated with opportunities. And this, I think, is the nature of Tasmanians, because we support entrepreneurship. It's very easy to become an entrepreneur in Tassie, and the commitment from our community with supporting our students is amazing.
Well, for me, it's all about the lifestyle in Tassie. That gives me the biggest advantage compared to other universities, I guess, because it's not all about studies. You get to have enjoy the social environment and the wilderness of the Tasmania, and also the connection that you have with the industry and the TSB, which give you a added advantage where you want to place yourself in the future in the industry. And also the student support that you get throughout your academic career in UTAS.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. And that's the end of our webinar. I hope our audience have enjoyed this session. It is going to be recorded, so you can view it at a later time and date. And thank you all for attending. Thanks, Julie, Aruna, Rose, and Melanie. Enjoy your nights or mornings for everyone else. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you.